to take a new look at the familiar subject of exercise. We all know that working out is supposed to be good for us. But what if you're getting on in your years and feeling frail? What if you're having a chronic illness, or you're unsteady on your feet, or you're confined to a wheelchair? Is exercise really for you, or is it just for those who still have a little spring in their step? Well, according to the National Institutes of Health, it's good for everyone. And we found 2 women with Parkinson's disease whose exercise habits actually seem to be improving their conditions. Have a look.
The hardest part of any fitness program is exercising the discipline to stick with it. Many seniors believe that their age or their medical conditions make exercising too difficult or dangerous. But according to the National Institutes of Health, people in all age groups harm themselves far more by not exercising than by doing so. That doesn't mean, of course, that exercising is always easy. For Myra Morris, it's sometimes a struggle.
I began exercising after I knew that there was something wrong, because I began to have fall occasionally, and I had a funny twitch in my leg, and I know my gait was way off.
Myra was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease more than 30 years ago. Some people might take such news as a reason to give up on exercise altogether. Myra's reaction was just the opposite.
I want to keep up to do all the things that I eventually might not be able to do.
Like Myra, Gloria Waxenberg is a fitness student at the Classic Residence in Chevy Chase, Maryland. She, too, suffers from Parkinson's disease.
Always was very, very active. I'd always done everything for myself. And I guess I'm just still trying to, follow that pattern.
Many doctors tell their patients that exercise can prevent serious medical conditions. According to the National Institute on Aging, regular exercise can also improve existing chronic conditions over time, so long as it's done when the conditions are under control. Myra and Gloria say that their workouts have been essential in helping them cope with Parkinson's.
If I didn't exercise, I know I wouldn't be where I am today. There are many people where I live who have Parkinson's, and I am much more fit than any of them, and they all admit it and say, how come I don't respond as well to medications as Myra does? And I have to say, the reason is because that I exercise faithfully.
Shirley Lloyd teaches seated fitness classes at the Classic Residence. She has first-hand knowledge of how regular exercise can help seniors with chronic illnesses.
There, by the grace of God, go I. I'm right up there with them. I've had diabetes and not a transplant, but bypass surgery. And I see the very importance to keep moving in my life, or else.
Shirley says you're never too old or frail to exercise, as long as your health condition is under control and a doctor agrees that exercising is safe for you.
It doesn't matter the problem. We can work with whatever problem it is. And it's important to do something rather than sit and do nothing.
Fitness doesn't have to be intimidating. According to the Surgeon General, people can benefit from even moderate levels of physical activity.
Making sure they work at their own pace. They don't need to keep up with everybody else. Just keep up with themselves and do what they can.
Shirley cautions that you should never do an exercise that causes pain, because that could mean that you're injuring yourself. Injury is not only harmful, it's counterproductive. It will prevent you from exercising, and exercising consistently is the goal.
The importance of exercise is that you keep at it and don't say, oh, I'll do that next week. And next week is not going to let you do it either. The longer you put off doing it, the more difficult it will get when you get there.
The best way to stay motivated, Shirley says, is to make exercise a positive experience. Do activities that you enjoy.
I try to make it fun. I try to joke occasionally and maybe have them sing along occasionally. And yeah, I think it's a fun class.
the fun of being with people, and it's fun. We just laugh and make jokes, and it's a very happy time.
For some people, exercising in a group or classroom setting adds to that enjoyment. It creates a support system that helps keep them motivated.
The importance of exercising in a group rather than by yourself. One thing is the socializing that you get to do with the other people, and also to see that you're not alone maybe in your disability or what you think you can't do or what you can do, and you see that others like you.
It makes me feel much more limber. And of course, it makes me feel, emotionally, it makes me feel good because I can do the same thing that other people can do. Sometimes even better.
Setting goals is another way to stay motivated and to build strength and stamina. For some people, a realistic goal may be to run faster or lift heavier weights. For others, just walking is something to be celebrated.
I think I wouldn't be able to be walking as well as I am. There are two components of Parkinson's. One is tremors and one is rigidity. I have rigidity. So, of course, doing exercises, it keeps me more agile and it enables me to move better.
The National Institute on Aging estimates that about 2/3 of older adults don't engage in physical activity. As Myra and Gloria see it, if they can exercise, everyone can and should.
I think that they're missing something that they would find enjoyable and useful.
Get moving. Do something. If you don't want to do it by yourself, find a friend to do it with. And there's plenty of places these days where you can get that kind of help.
We have people in our classes as 82, 85, 91. These people are remarkable, and I respect them so much. Don't complain when they get a little sore muscle or something. So it just makes your life much better.
I'd like to introduce Erin Finnegan, who can tell us more about exercise and its effects on Parkinson's disease and other chronic conditions. Ms. Finnegan is a physical therapist at Northwestern University's Parkinson's Disease and Movement Disorder Center in Chicago. She teaches a class that she developed called Integrated Exercise for Parkinson's. She's also a certified Pilates instructor and has studied yoga for physical therapists. Ms. Finnegan, thank you so much for visiting the Daily Apple studio. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
What is Parkinson's disease exactly?
I would describe Parkinson's disease as a set of symptoms. The cardinal motor signs of Parkinson's include the tremor, the shaking, bradykinesia, which is the slowing of movement, rigidity, so stiffness.
Now, if it's left untreated, how does it actually affect our body? It affects it by rigidity, you say?
Rigidity, so the stiffness of all the structures, the extremities as well as the spine, the axial structures.
Or extreme tremors, right?
Tremor, shaking, and it starts on one side and becomes eventually bilateral, so both sides of the body are affected.
How is it actually treated today?
It's treated most definitively with medication, so pharmacologically, but exercise is definitely a very essential and legitimate adjunct to medications.
Talking about exercise, though, is this a new form of treatment, if you will, to Parkinson's?
No, the benefits of exercise are well established in the literature, and we've known that exercise helps manage the symptoms. The types of exercises that are more popular nowadays, such as Pilates and yoga, are being more commonly applied in the management of Parkinson's, which is very promising because those are the very exercises that...
Let's talk a little bit about if our viewers, or if a viewer has a friend or has Parkinson's themselves. Pilates is the stretching of your body and yoga is the stretching. Is that what makes it impactful?
Pilates is an emphasis on core stability with spine flexibility. So that core strength that's required to achieve and maintain upright posture benefits someone who's living with Parkinson's and has a tendency to become stooped, or the spine flexibility, the spine stretching is indicated in the management of Parkinson's, because like we said, the spine structures get stiff and the vertebrae become immobile, and that contributes to loss of balance and fall.
We need to take another break, so hang on one second. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment to continue our discussion about exercise and chronic conditions with Erin Finnegan.
True or false? Men are more at risk for Parkinson's disease than women. Do you know the answer? It's true. Scientists believe that estrogen helps protect women's bodies from the chemical changes that occur with Parkinson's.
Welcome back to the Daily Apple. We've been talking about exercise, its effects on chronic conditions, and its value for all of us. My guest is Erin Finnegan. She's a physical therapist with Northwestern University's Parkinson's Disease and Movement Disorder Center in Chicago. You talked a little bit about Parkinson's and exercise and how impactful it was. Does it impact us through our mental health? Does it delay the disease? What happens when you exercise?
We exercise, people living with Parkinson's exercise to manage the symptoms, but ultimately it's most important to address the functional limitations that occur as a result of the symptoms, and exercise can be extremely beneficial in delaying or minimizing the disability that occurs as a result of
Erin,
the symptoms.
does that happen through flexibility? Is that one of the ways, or?
Stretching can address the flexibility component, but flexibility cannot be separated from balance. We need flexibility in order to achieve good balance. We need balance to minimize our risk of falling.
And falls are a significant problem for mature adults.
Falls are a tremendous contributor to the disability of Parkinson's.
And any kind of tremor. Do you also do physical therapy there, or just exercise classes?
My role as a physical therapist is to see patients one-on-one when there's a referral made for physical therapy. But I'm screening patients in the clinic setting to either filter them into the exercise program, the exercise class that's been specifically designed to meet the exercise needs of a person living with Parkinson's, or see them one-on-one in a physical therapy clinic where we can address their gait training, their mobility training, so whatever they're having trouble with.
What have you learned most from your experiences with these people?
These patients are so inspirational to me. They move when movement seems impossible. They exercise, they are so motivated, they exercise regularly, they're committed to their exercise programs. They're thirsty for information, they're intelligent and information seeking.
When you're talking about information, but I'm thinking to myself, I don't know of many classes that are around for individuals that have Parkinson's that look like this one. Where does someone actually find this kind of class?
Well, programs like this exist, but more need to be created, because the exercise needs of someone living with Parkinson's are different from strength-based exercises or traditional exercise programs.
So if my mom and dad or family member, someone I knew had Parkinson's, and I wanted to get them involved in a class, is there an organization they can contact?
The National Parkinson Foundation is a great resource, and their website is parkinson.org, so it's easy to remember. They have exercise booklets. One in particular, it's called Fitness Counts. That's offered, and other information booklets that are offered free on their website. Or there's a 1-800 number to call. But exercise classes in the community are accessible to people with Parkinson's as well. So contacting senior centers, Jewish community centers oftentimes offer Parkinson-specific exercise classes, at least in Chicago. But a Tai Chi class or a basic yoga class would be a good place to start too.
What if you have, you're homebound and you really cannot get out? I saw a woman and I was asking you about it. Was that her husband? Because what a great support system that is. If you're homebound, are there also exercises that you can see in these books that you can do at home?
Yeah, there's a chair kind of sequence of exercises where you can really work on uprighting your posture and walking your hands back along the chair.
And what does that
getting
do for someone?
Opens up the chest. Taking deep breaths. So breathing in.
Opens your diaphragm.
And out, yeah. Taking the stress and the tension out of the upper chest and the accessory muscles in the neck where tightness already has a tendency to occur. Reciprocal movement with the arms is diminished in Parkinson's, so any exercises to promote that kind of interlimb coordination, reaching, even rotation with reaching to help with sitting to standing or sitting to standing, like so. Those kind of exercises that translate into better movement, or reaching overhead with rotation.
So some of the stretching exercises that we were talking, that you and I might do before we run or before we take an aerobics class, reaching with our hands, stretching, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but you and I have, well, traditionally we kind of have a tendency to get in a position of stretch and hold in that position, and I really, with Parkinson's, there needs to be more of an emphasis on moving and a movement type stretch where you're moving through the complete range. It's a very amplitude-based kind of type of training, and emphasis on upright posture and stretching from that upright posture, because you and I take that for granted that we know we need to be in good alignment, but someone living with Parkinson's might not even know that they're existing in a stooped posture and need to upright that first, or really work to upright that. So that can be the basic exercise in and of itself, is like a shoulder rolling.
How long do you do it? Like if you have Parkinson's, how long do you think that most Parkinson's sufferers can actually handle exercising?
We exercise for 30 to 45 minutes.
Wow, really?
Taking breaks when needed. But as far as number of repetitions, really tell people to emphasize the quality of their movements instead of focusing on how many repetitions or how much weight they're lifting. It's not about that. It's about how you move your body, and that's because of the disease process affects the activation of muscles. It's an underlying motor control problem instead of actual motor function or strength that's
How
diminished.
often should a person who has Parkinson's actually do these exercises?
Every day
Yeah.
is some form of exercise, is what I recommend. Now, strengthening exercises don't need to be performed every day, but some sort of stretching, and even a 5-minute balance sequence if they're still in standing and able to maintain standing safely.
Have you heard about some seniors that you've worked with that really have been able to bounce back a little bit from the exercise programs you've put them through?
Yeah, or have a new outlook on movement and how they move, and feel more independent or less reliant on their family members. And even if they are using a walker, like a rolling walker or walking stick, these don't feel like a hindrance or a assistive device that they rely on, but rather gives them more independence and ability to function. Ultimately.
Well, this was good information. And so basically, if I hear you correctly, it's going to help you if you exercise, not only to mentally get you more energetic and interested in life, but also in terms of
improve your quality of life.
Improving your quality of life. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.